मैं आमंत्रित करूंगा माननीय मुख्य अतिथि महोदय को कि वे चिकित्सकों के इस ऐतिहासिक सम्मेलन में अपने उद्बोधन द्वारा चिकित्सकों का मार्गदर्शन करें, जिससे आने वाली सदी में एक व्याधि मुक्त समाज की संस्थापना में रत चिकित्सक राष्ट्र के गौरव को संवर्धित कर सके।
Good evening, Sri Roku Sharma ji, Honorable Minister Health, Rajasthan, Sri Rajan Sharma, I am a National President, Dr. Robi Wankhede, Treasurer, World Medical Association, Dr. R.V. Ashokan, I am a National Honorary Secretary General, Mr. Vijay Sharma, President, International Board of Medicine and Surgery, Dr. M.N. Thareja, I am a Rajasthan State President, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a pleasant occasion for me to be present amidst you this evening. On the occasion of the 29th official conference of Indian Medical Association Rajasthan Unit and the first official conference of all Rajasthan in-service Doctors Association. At the outset, I would like to thank the medical professions present here today and through them to the entire medical fraternity, professional community, who have dedicated their services to the welfare and betterment of the mankind. Many centuries ago, great Roman statesman Cicero observed a very important statement, and I quote a few words. In nothing do men more nearly approach the gods than in giving health to man, unquote. What Cicero told several centuries ago are relevant even today. This conference is being held just 2 days away from the Doctor's Day. 1st of July, we observed as the Doctor's Day, and it is also the birth and death anniversary of legendary physician Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy, who was the Chief Minister of West Bengal for long 14 years, from January 48 till the day of his death on 1st July 1962. In the early years of our developmental planning, Dr. B.C. Roy, as Chief Minister of West Bengal, had many pressing problems. Incessant flow of refugees from the other part of Bengal, which was then East Pakistan now, which is called Bangladesh. The strong pressure of this migration, lack of resources, as the country was exploited over 150 years, 90 years, from 1757 to 1947, 190 years, colonial rule and its consequence, exploitation. But despite that, he tried to build up some important infrastructural milestones in the arena of public health care and medical infrastructure. Jadavpur TB Hospital, Chittaranjan Seva Sadhan, a cancer institute, RG Medical College, Kamala Nehru Hospital, Victoria Institution, Chittaranjan Cancer Hospital, and a network of rural health centers which help the improvement of health conditions to the people of West Bengal. Dr. Rai once observed, and I quote, he made this observation while addressing the convocation of the students of Lucknow University on 15 December 1956. Addressing the young graduates, Dr. Rai said, and I quote, "My young friends, you are soldiers in the battle of freedom. Freedom from what? Fear, ignorance, frustration, and helplessness. By a dint of hard work for the country, rendered in a spirit of selfless service, may you march ahead with hope, courage, and conviction." Unquote. Today I want to convey the same thing to you. A noble service to mankind through your professions, rendering in a spirit of healing and providing relief, given you the courage to march ahead with your head held high. In light of recent events, the theme of this conference, I am informed, is Dr. Heal Thyself. It's indeed disheartening to see how our medical professionals are sometimes being treated by our own fellow citizens, particularly in some of the recent events which are extremely disturbing to us when doctors are on duty are assaulted. I condemn it. This kind of violence leads us to nowhere. It is wrong to take the law in one's own hand. Already there are appropriate mechanisms for the patient's grievance redressal, and through those mechanisms, if something is wrong by the professionals, doctors, nurses, or other medicos, system should take care of it, not by the patients, not his relatives, not by a section of the agitated public. What the people of this country need to understand that this ongoing trend towards increasing violence toward doctors will only result in unintended consequences and may deter the physicians from taking up complicated cases that have a higher chance of poor outcome out of fear of physical harm and threat. I know, under very difficult situations, many of the doctors in India, in different parts of this vast country, have done a wonderful job. They have provided relief, care to the patients undergoing unusual surgery, taking innovative methods and ways in inadequate infrastructural facilities, and succeeded in providing the cure to the suffering people. I congratulate them. I would also like to point out, in a country like this, caregivers are revered almost as much as divine. where people are slowed down by poverty and lack of accessibility to the basic health care, doctors are considered no less than gods. It therefore becomes even more important for you to understand that your responsibility does not end with the discharge of your routine medical duties. It is not a strength to say that the doctors become responsible for the emotional well-being of its patients, as well as the attendant whose last thread of hope is you. Like they say, presence of the doctor, very look at the doctor's face is the beginning of the cure. Along with being expert medical practitioners, you also have to be the bearer of all the news, and you must find the time and the empathy to give the patients and relatives of the patient. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, you may not have asked for these or even considered this be part of your job, but that will not stop the patient or their family from seeking comfort directly from you. Therefore, I implore you to be the sensitive and caring personalities, as it can mark all the difference for sometimes trying to fathom the laws. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, there are certain responsibilities of doctors and other healthcare providers. Similarly, responsibility are to be borne by the patients and their relatives. All other social activities, hospital authorities, law and order machinery, media and government to see that the healthcare improves by augmenting system and more manpower rather than coercion of the healthcare providers. Politicization of unrest in a sector like this is overburdened as public health. To my mind, will only prove detrimental to all the stakeholders. Hospitals should be the places of compassion, caring, and taking due care and patience to their patient, not the police zones with senseless violence and threat to the lives of doctors themselves. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good health as an attribute to the human well-being precedes the very other position of the mankind. Many years ago, Lord Buddha, while preaching his teachings, ideals, used to say to those who used to seek advice from him, I quote, "To keep the body in good health is a duty. Otherwise, we shall not be able to keep our mind strong and clear." Unquote. A healthy population exhibits a greater disposition towards seeking education, acquiring knowledge, and accessing and empowerment opportunities. For a country like India, whose working population is one of the youngest in the world, attention to the health sector becomes urgent. Health is among the foremost priorities of the government. Progress in this sector is key in India's future place of prominence in the Committee of the Nations. Economic growth that does not go hand in hand with the reduction in avoidable mortality and ill health is neither sustainable nor desirable. In this regard, I am deeply concerned about the impoverishment, impact of health and medical expenses on the vulnerable sections of the society. It is totally unacceptable that almost 80% of the expenditure on the health care by our people is made by personal out-of-pocket payment. I am disheartened at the fact that crores of people of our country plunge into poverty each year due to the expenses on the essential medical treatment. Yet, we should remember that the health service for the poor cannot be the poor health services. It must be the rich health services. We need to craft a high-quality national health system that is used for both the poor and rich alike. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, knowledge is the driver of economy and essential business of the world today. While we stand today in the cusp of greatness in several fields, in the global platform, our energy and innovation thrust in the field of medical science is yet to scale the heights desirable. We need to find innovative solutions in healthcare, discovering new cures, harnessing existing and emerging technologies for affordable healthcare, and exploring new paradigms for preventing disease and creating wellness. India should be a powerhouse of biomedical research. We should develop world-class centers of excellence focused not only on traditional specialties but also on cross-cutting themes such as infectious disease, vaccine development, and regenerative sciences. We had the ability to stay advanced and become leaders of the world in this medicine. I am positive that the government will support you in this endeavor in every possible way. But the doctors, students, researchers must show that they can push frontiers of biomedical research and innovation to the highest level. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, health is one of the fundamental pillars of the human resource development in any society. It is indeed necessary to put in more and more investment in the health sector and incentivize it for the private sector. We need to be careful while doing this, lest we privatize it while making it unaffordable. The share of India's GDP in health is just about 1.5%, which is much low at the desirable level. I hope in these coming years, healthcare is given the importance it deserves. Such dismal investment benefits neither the provider nor the receiver. Moreover, a lack of resources further limits the extent to which a healthcare service providing can be helped. A healthcare system resting on the essential trinity, availability, quality, and affordability is a sine qua non for any developing country, and particularly in a condition of India. In India, extending the reach of the country's healthcare system has been a long-drawn endeavor. Time has come for Indian people to aim at attaining the universal health coverage. It is possible today to leverage the reasonable amount of resources to make bold and sustained investment in health. I am of the strong opinion that until the public expenses on the health sector at least to 2.5% of GDP from the present level of 1.5%, and remember I am talking of the minimum rise from the bottom line, then we won't be able to provide the necessary health care to our people. In our country, public health care system needs to be greatly expanded and strengthened. We need many more nurses, doctors, paramedics, and health workers. We need to decentralize planning and implementation of the health care to the district and sub-district levels. We need to take health services closer to the homes of the families, even a primary health care, and too far to India's standard for need. We must need out-of-the-box management and administrative reforms in the health departments at the states and central level. We need public health professionals to spearhead public health program. We need to develop effective models of health care in the ever-increasing urban population. The foundation of India's national health system must be strong, sensitive, efficient public health care system. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to draw your attention towards the tragedy where about 250 children lost their lives to a simple and fully curable illness of acute encephalitis syndrome in Bihar. Such a tragedy is simply unacceptable after more than 70 years of our independence and 12 five-year plans interjected by several annual plans being formalized. The fact that this happened largely due to malnutrition, coupled with lack of basic healthcare infrastructural facilities, puts a great question mark on the developmental journey of our country. Lack of human resources, it is responsible for inadequate health service as the lack of physical infrastructure, especially in the far-flung rural areas. The density of doctors in India is only 0.6 per 1,000, and that of nurses and midwives 1.30 per 1,000, representing collectively 1.9 health workers per 1,000, pointing clearly to acute shortage of the healthcare professionals. In addition, because of a skewed distribution of the cadres of health workers, the vulnerable population in the rural, tribal, and hilly areas continue to be underserviced. We must therefore ensure a sizable expansion in teaching institutions for doctors, nurses, and paramedics. Positive traditional healthcare practices and local remedies need to be encouraged in this regard. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am afraid I have taken a little longer time than I intended to have. But before I conclude, I would just like to say that the medicine is a profession respected by all in society and in every society. Doctors are life givers who are given a place next to God. Voltaire once observed very candidly and very correctly, and I quote a few words from his observations. I quote, "Those who are occupied in the restoration of health to others by the joint extension of skill and humanity are above the great of the earth. They even partake of divinity, since to preserve and renew is almost as noble as to create." Unquote. I am sure our medical fraternity will respect the good faith and trust that people have reposed in them. You all are empowered to contribute to the nation, touch and transform the lives of millions. I hope that you will remain firm in your occupation and to the higher objectives of selfless service to the society. I wish you all success in this endeavor and in all other future endeavors. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. जय हिंद।